Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
It was not by my hand that I am once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets? But enough talk. Have at you!
Welcome to episode 24 of Critical Strike. I am Josh McNell, and today with me is Mr. Kyle Dumond.
Well, hello.
How you doing, Kyle?
I'm, doing much better now that I'm out of the fucking heat.
Dude, it's fucking brutal out there.
Yeah, you didn't spend all day next to an oven in the middle of a city.
No, but I did get a picture of it.
Oh, I did send you that.
Yeah, by the way, stop sending pictures to my phone. My phone doesn't support MMS.
What the hell am I supposed to send it to?
Email.
Oh. But then I actually have to know your email address. And I actually don't know your email address.
Alright, well, without further ado, what have you been up to, Mr. Dumond?
I have actually been taking it back a bit. Haven't really touched my Xbox, except for BioShock, but that's only been for a bit. I'm about 3/4 through it on hard. I'm in Apollo Square? Yeah, that's the place. But mainly I've been playing Dawn of War on the PC, because more information has been shown about Dawn of War 2, and that has wet my whistle to play the series again, so I've been playing a little Soulstorm, and some good times.
When is that expected out, Dawn of War 2? Because I want to get that too.
Oh, I have no idea. It's... I think the rumors have been right around when StarCraft launches, which is not good news.
That would not be good. No, that would not be wise. No matter what they do with Dawn of War, it's going to get steamrolled by
StarCraft 2.
Yeah, that's a bad decision. That's like coming out with Saints Row at the same time with Grand Theft Auto.
But again, that was the rumor. I don't remember if that's the appropriate date. But I just watched the trailers again. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so awesome.
Yeah, I actually have not seen anything on that game. I haven't gone looking for it. I really need to, because I've been a fan of the Dawn of War series as well.
Oh, you never seem to want to play it with me when I say, hey Josh, you want to play Dawn of War? And you're like, no, then I have to go install it again, and blah blah blah. That's how you sound.
I thought we've already established that I don't like playing games with people.
But anyway, what else I have been doing? I've been playing a little Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition that hit the shelves not too long ago. Started my
own...
Nerd out. What?
Nerd out for us.
Yeah, a little nerd out. Started my own little campaign. Got a few people going. It's different. It's like if your best friend had become a burn victim. It's the same personality, but it looks and feels completely different. But, the heart's still the same.
I see, yeah. That's not creepy at all.
I'm going to see how many burn victim analogies I can come up with in this podcast.
And you know what? Ironically, that's kind of funny, because I'm watching Volcano at the same time.
That's not ironic. That's coincidental. You
Yeah.
people, you need to get this right.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I hate you. But
Yeah,
move on.
no. Um, yeah. In addition to uh Dawn of War, I've also been playing 40K Squad Command on the PSP,
Really?
and that is vastly superior to the DS version. So much better.
You think I would like it?
Do you like actual like squad-based strategy games?
I don't think I've actually even played one.
Um, okay. Have you ever played like a tabletop game?
Oh yeah.
That's basically like the 40K tabletop game. You
Oh, that's pretty
have
sweet.
yeah, you have certain squares for movement, like movement and actions consume action points, and certain movements, movement will take up one action point per square. Shooting will take up certain amount of action points depending on what gun you're using. It's a lot like what's that game with the aliens?
Halo?
No, it's an old PC game. Uh,
SimCity?
no, not SimCity. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, well, it kind of sounds like kind of a Final Fantasy Tactics type game, but with a squad.
Yeah, it's a tactical game, so yeah, it would seem like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Or what's that big game on the DS? And they had one on the Advanced Wars.
Not so much like Advance Wars. Advance Wars, you more have set movement, and but Advance Wars also is like similar to Tactics. But I'm rambling.
You digress.
Yes, I digress. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. A lot of 40K and a lot of D&D.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to apologize if any birds get caught in the recording here because I have to have a window open. It's really hot. So if you hear birds chirping, I'm sorry.
I think it adds nice ambiance to the podcast.
Yeah, this is our version of the fanboys. We have nature. Soon, a big bear is gonna come up and take a dump on my truck.
You would drive a truck. You also apparently drive a four-wheeler and do backflips off of it.
No, not a four wheeler. It's all right. What I was talking about on the Twitter. Um, Me and my brother yesterday went out and we have RC cars, which nerdy.
Oh.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot less impressive then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we have the big RC cars. I have a Nitro Revo, and he has a Nitro Revo, and I also have an electric wrestler.
Yes.
And yeah, we were running these yesterday in the 96-degree weather over at a coworker's, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was doing backflips and everything. It was great.
Yeah, I thought you were on like an actual four-wheeler doing this. I thought you were a lot more hard than that, Josh. But no, you play with little cars.
Ah, they're fun, Kyle.
I'm also kind of jealous that you have these little cars.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Yeah. Beyond that, at least to the gaming realm, I have played absolutely nothing.
Looks like you've been playing a lot of Carcassonne from what I saw on live.
I haven't been playing anything. Period. My
No?
360 has maybe been on once since the last podcast.
Really? What have you been doing with your time?
Sleeping.
I envy you.
I mean, a lot of it is I have the broken finger, and using a controller is kind of tough. And
What
I
finger
tried
did
to
you break?
my right middle finger. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I can see where that would be a problem.
I tried to play some Marvel vs. Capcom, and yeah, the fast movements didn't really agree with it.
How the hell did you break your finger?
I broke it at work. I was working for once.
You weren't playing your PSP?
Yeah, normally I just play my PSP instead of work, and this time I happened to actually be working, and yeah, it went snap.
How the hell? What were you doing?
Well, I have my own little room. that I program in, and I had my finger up my ass, and somebody called for me, and I jumped up real quick and snapped it.
Maybe you shouldn't pick your ass at work?
Well, lesson learned, Kyle. Lesson learned.
Indeed. You only had to break one finger to learn that.
Actually, it's probably about the fourth.
Well, at least it wasn't your thumb this time.
Yeah, that time I couldn't play games for about a week. But yeah, I digress now.
Lols.
No, actually, I did. Like I said, I did try to play some Marvel vs. Capcom, and I loaded up Castlevania Symphony of the Night this morning.
On XBL?
No, on the PSP.
Should I get that? Or, yeah, no.
No, they don't have Castlevania Symphony of the Night out for the PSP itself unless you have a PS3, because then you can just buy it in the store and transfer it onto the PSP. But what you can do is get Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles.
How is that?
It's really hard. Symphony of the Night can be unlocked in that. I think you unlock it on the third level.
Oh, so it's like what Metroid Fusion did with the original Metroid.
I guess, because I don't play Metroid.
Well, you should. Pretty much if you linked it up with the original GameCube version of it, of Metroid Prime, with Fusion, using the GBA link, you could play the original Metroid.
But again, I hate Metroid, and I won't play it.
You're missing out on a lot.
Yeah, I don't think I am.
Considering, Castlevania is a clone of Metroid.
Yeah, but I prefer Castlevania because there's vampires and whips.
Yeah, vampires are pretty awesome.
But yeah, you should totally pick up Symphony of the Night, or Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles. It took me a while to play that, to beat that actually, really hard game.
Symphony of the Night or Dracula X Chronicles?
Dracula X Chronicles. Symphony of the Night's a breeze, but it's so great. Actually, yeah, Player One podcast for the next Game Club is talking about that game. That's actually why I loaded it up.
I know Dave and Joel like it, so, if they like it, I might like it.
You've actually never played Symphony of the Night?
The only Castlevania game I played was for the original Game Boy.
Wow. That is weak. I didn't know this. I thought you actually played it, because when I'm quoting it, you're like quoting it with me.
Well, that's because I listened to that Dave and Joel episode, and it's fucking hilarious.
I just lost, like, the last smidge of respect I had for you.
Look, let's be honest. You had no respect for me.
I had a little bit, like a tiny little bit. Not anymore.
What is it, man?
I'm not. No, I'm not. I can't do it with you anymore, Kyle. I can't do it. It's just not the same. Alright. It's been a while since we've done a top 5.
What's this top 5 you speak of?
I know. Well, I think the last one we did was episode 19 with Mr. Thrillhouse 17. And so we're going to do one now, and it'll be our top 5 video game soundtracks.
I noticed Keith did not make one.
Well, yeah, I mean, alright, I forgot to mention this actually earlier. Keith is not with us. Like if you haven't figured it out before. He's moving this week, and...
Where's he moving to? Is he moving out of Defiance?
No. He's staying in the town that he lives in, but he got in the condo or whatever.
Ah, that's kind of cool.
So, Kyle, why don't you kick off the top five?
All right. My top 5 video game soundtracks begins at number 5 with the Super Mario Bros. Soundtrack. Now, the reason for this is the nostalgia. Super Mario Bros. Was the first video game that I avidly remember playing, and who doesn't know the Mario theme song?
I don't know the Mario theme song.
Oh, you're a liar and you need to be burned.
Fair enough.
All right. My number 4 is Sonic the Hedgehog, the series. Generally, a lot of awesome music came out of the Genesis from this, and I have probably 50 remixes from OCR or OC remix, not OCR remix. Old work. Anyway, I digress again. I have tons of OC remix songs on this from the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and the music is genuinely awesome. Especially when you make up your own little songs to go with the music.
Yep. The only, I think honestly, the only Sonic soundtracks I actually like is probably the first 3 on the Genesis, and then Sonic CD, obviously, because it has that lovely theme song that I love.
The Sonic Boom theme song.
Yep.
That song is awesome.
You know, so many people called me a failure for loving it, but if loving that song is fail, then I am an epic failure.
I saw a little mashup with Guile from one of the Street Fighter movies using Sonic Boom to that song.
Yeah, it's on AVM Hell.
Which one?
The 3rd.
No, I thought they came out with another one.
Well, they have technically 5 if you count 0, but they just came out with the 4th one. Yeah. It's all hentai based, so you wouldn't like it.
Oh. No, we won't be watching that.
Kyle doesn't like hentai.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of have a thing against tentacles raping girls.
Whereas I love that.
Also, Nick does too.
But you digress again.
Hey, digression is all I am about.
And I'm all about tentacles.
Unfortunately. Speaking of, did you see how happy or unnecessarily happy that Kraken looked in the screens for Final Fantasy IV?
No.
He looks like a child molester happy.
Alright.
And considering all the little chibi, figurines, that's pretty damn happy.
Can you blame him?
I can't.
So move on.
Yes. My number 3 is the Super... Fuck! No, I was right. Super Smash Brothers. The Super Smash Brothers series. Mainly for the remixing and reimagining of previous Nintendo songs. My favorite is probably on Smash Brothers Melee, the redoing of the Zelda 2 Dungeon song.
The Hyrule Castle.
Yes.
That is my favorite. I was actually just about to say that, if you pick something else. That was my favorite one as well.
That was my ringtone for a while, for my phone. And it was fantastic.
Mine was one of your drunk dials.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I probably should do that again. I haven't done that to you in a while. Then again, I haven't gotten drunk in a while.
Yeah. But, yeah, dude. The Hyrule Castle, I'm not a big fan of Smash. I never really have been. But when I got Melee and I played on that level, I was like, this song sounds familiar. And then when it kicked in, I was like, this is a fucking awesome remix.
It's pretty much what happened to me. Except I got it at, the very first moment with the little, the guitar at the beginning.
Yeah, the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Oh, nice.
Then I stopped playing and played Zelda 2 again.
Still my favorite Zelda.
See, I have a smidgen of... You should get some respect back. for me because we like the same stuff.
No, I still have no respect for you.
Oh. Alright, my number 2 is the Silent Hill soundtracks. Because they are fucking scary.
No, when you say soundtracks, you mean all of the games.
Yes, all of the games.
Like, even up to the fourth one?
I did not play the fourth one.
Even Origin?
I did not play Origin. I forgot about Origin.
Ah, you fail. You can get that on the PSP.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but Zero Punctuation suggested that I don't.
Okay, I want to talk about this at the end of the podcast. Alright,
Okay.
Go on.
Silent Hill is a very atmospheric game, and the music really, really puts you in the mood to get the shit scared out of you. For instance, just the other day, a friend of mine were walking past the armory that's on Drexel's campus, and they were doing some technical work and machinery work, which sounded very similar to a song in Silent Hill, and immediately I got goosebumps, and the hair rose on my neck, and I wanted to leave.
Is that why you called me asking me for a hug?
Yes. Because you're my safety blanket, Josh.
I know. It's okay.
You are. It means a lot that you wanted to.
Okay.
All right, and my number 1 is anything by Nobuo Uematsu.
Rock on.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know or are retarded, Nobuo Uematsu is the guy who pretty much wrote and orchestrated. Well, he didn't orchestrate it himself, but he did almost all of the music for Final Fantasy, with the exception of 12. Was 12 his last one?
I think 12 was his last one, yeah.
Okay, so with the exception of, I guess, 13, I don't know if he did 11.
He did 11.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, he just keeps going and going. He is also the organist for the Black Mages.
Yep.
Probably one of my favorite bands ever. Which also does covers of his own music. That's how awesome he is. He also did the music for Lost Odyssey, which has epic-ass music.
Yeah.
Anything this guy does is gold.
Smash Brothers Brawl, he did the themes for.
Yes, he did that too, which also has amazing music. Pretty much this guy's a genius, and...
He didn't do the PSP Final Fantasy, though.
That's what he didn't do. But that wasn't a true Final Fantasy game, but then again, what is now these days?
Man. Yeah.
Some great music.
I'm going to have to... Alright, I'm going to kick off mine, and yeah, again, my number 5 is going to be Final Fantasy music, any and all, but, you know, I'm kind of going to change that, because, like Kyle, I love Uematsu's music, and it's just genius, everything about it. But for Final For Final Fantasy music, I would have to say that my favorite one is obviously Final Fantasy VI. The music, you know, in most Final Fantasy games, each character has their own theme song.
Yeah.
On Final Fantasy VI, the music fit them so perfectly. And it really made you want to know more about this character. It really made you feel attached to the character. You know, everything that this guy does is just, it mixes with the game so perfectly. And, like, Square had such, you know, dependency on him that they even altered the way that they would make games based off of his music. Like, in Final Fantasy VI, at the final fight, the boss has, like, 3 different levels that you fight. And his music wasn't...
spoilers.
Yeah, you weren't playing it anyways.
I swear I'm going to.
Yeah, okay. Shut up. I hate you. But the character has 3 different levels, and his music wasn't long enough, or he would have made it too long. So what they did is they came up with a way for him to program the music in the game, which at the time wasn't known for, to loop the music. if it has to go on more. So that's like how much Square put into this guy, is that they're willing to come up with new ways of doing things for him.
Jesus. This man shaped the video game industry itself.
Music-wise, though, he really did. I mean, this guy has made pretty much all the biggest games music.
Man, I want to marry Nobuo Uematsu.
He's already married, but I would too.
I'll fight you for him.
I'd win.
Well, yeah, I guess you would. Considering what you are.
And what am I, Kyle?
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it this podcast. I'm just going to let it sit. The people will know.
The people will know. Alright. I hate you. My number 4 would be MetalStorm for the NES. Again, on a few podcasts ago, I made mention that I've never played this game before when I was a kid. This is a game that up until last summer I recently got into. But the soundtrack for this game is probably one of the best NES games I've ever heard.
I've never even heard of this game.
Well, you haven't heard of anything unless it came out on the N64 and up, because I know you.
No, screw you. I've had an NES. I played tons of games, and as shown by my video game challenge last episode, I know some pretty obscure NES games.
That's true. I'll give you that. Alright, so MetalStorm, its music was just great. I think I'm going to have to maybe play some on this episode.
Alright, do that. I would like to listen to it. No, I was going to say, you do have the soundtrack for this, don't you?
Yeah.
What don't you have the soundtrack for? Steel Battalion, that's what?
You know what, though? MetalStorm was actually the one it took me the longest to find. I had the hardest time finding this soundtrack. I think I've been looking for it up until about 2 months ago for about a year. So, yeah.
Jesus.
It's a hard soundtrack to find. But I have it now. And I am complete. My number 3 would be Everyday Shooter, a downloadable game on the PlayStation Network and Steam.
Again, a game I've never heard of or played.
It's a music-based game, kinda. It's another one of the stick shooters that were big when the 360 and PlayStation 3 launched. Actually, I think we had music on it from last episode.
Did we? I didn't really listen to last episode. I started to, and then a customer came and I turned off the podcast and never listened to it again.
You didn't like my editing job, huh?
No, it wasn't that. It's just I never got around to it, and when I updated my iPod, it took it off.
Why am I such a failure to you, Kyle? When have I never lived up to your expectations?
No, actually, you haven't. I mean, you've just been one glaring disappointment after the next. I don't even know why I hang around to you. You get depressed at the drop of a hat. You're like 8 feet tall, you eat people. Well, whatever.
So yeah, the Everyday Shooter soundtrack is really good, and if you haven't played this game, I would recommend it. Either on Steam or PlayStation Network. Buy it. That includes you too, Kyle.
Alright. Will it run on Mac?
Does Steam run on a Mac?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it does.
Oh, maybe I'll do that. Even though I'm not a fan of the twin-stick shooter.
Yeah. My number 2 would be Star Tropics. You remember this one. We played it in the past.
Yes, we have.
The music. Have you ever played this game?
I think it's for the NES, right?
Yeah.
I think Nancy bought it for the Virtual Console.
Really?
I think so.
Nancy's fucking awesome. I love her.
Yeah, she does. She does have a pretty good taste in not movies, games.
I was gonna say she doesn't have a good taste in boyfriends, but
Oh.
We'll move on past that.
Oh.
Star Tropics music though, really upbeat at times, and then it would just suddenly change at the drop of a hat if something happened in the game, and it would kind of really make you feel a part of the game. And Yeah, it's just so good. And as you can probably already tell at this point, I'm a big fan of chip tunes. You know, your old NES or Commodore 64 type music.
Now, is this due to nostalgia or because you genuinely think it's good music?
I generally think it's a good music. I love anything chip tunes related.
Oh, okay. Can't really argue with that.
I just think it's more unique. I don't know why. It's just better. Yeah, you're a freak.
If it's gonna sound like if it's gonna come from a computer, it might as well sound like it came from a computer.
Yeah, and I just like the way that they kind of mix, some of the music, and it sounds really good. I mean, part of it is obviously nostalgia because I wouldn't know of that stuff if I didn't play all these games in the past. But the big part of it is also just I just like the way that old NES music and old Commodore 64 and not so much Atari music sounds.
I never really played the Atari. I've seen it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it wasn't out around the time the N64 came out, then you wouldn't know.
I actually played E.T.
I still own ET. 2 copies.
Why do you have two? Isn't owning one a sin in itself?
I don't know, I still have 2 Atari 2600s and 2 Commodore 64s.
Why do you have two? Are are you afraid there's gonna be like a flood and you have to take two of every gaming system?
Yeah, that's why I have like 1400 monitors and I have 2 PlayStation 2s and 2 PlayStation 1s, 1 N64.
Well, it looks like you've picked out one console to go into extinction.
Yeah. I have 1 Wii
Ooh, ouch.
and I have 1 Xbox 360 and 1 PlayStation 3. Yeah, but that's going to change. I'm eventually going to get another PS3.
Why do you need another one? So you don't have to go downstairs?
Basically, yes.
Then why don't you just move the one that's downstairs upstairs? I don't get that.
Kyle, if you haven't realized it at this point
You're
in knowing
incredibly lazy.
no, I'm incredibly complex.
No, I think you're cryptic and lazy.
Oh, you called me cryptic. You did it. I fucking hate you.
I only did it because of the Twitter.
Yeah, people lately have been calling me cryptic. I don't think I am.
No,
But anyways,
you're pretty much out in the open. You're just lazy. I liken you to a bear lazing about. Not the ferocious bear, but like the tranked bear.
my number 1 would be every and any Mega Man game.
Who didn't see that coming? Not me.
Dude, seriously though, Mega Man has some of the best music made on the NES. You can't even argue it. Nobody can argue that.
I think it's been made even more awesome with the Megas.
Right. Well, yeah, the Mega's one of my new favorite bands, but
Or
still,
Okusenmon.
yeah. But still, nobody at this point, like, can you even argue that any NES soundtrack comes close to Mega Man?
Not really. Mega Man has a pretty solid soundtrack. The only reason I didn't want to put it on there was because I knew that'd be your number one. And when I checked the forum, guess what was number one? Every and any Mega Man.
Yeah. God damn it. It's true though. I mean, Mega Man, such great music. At first, actually, I wasn't gonna put it on my list to kind of to trick everybody. I was gonna put like something like Splatterhouse because I like the Splatterhouse music as well.
Well, then why wasn't it on the sound? Why wasn't it on your list?
Because it's top 5, Kyle, and unlike Keith, I follow the rules.
Technically, mine was a top 4, but I thought of my actually third choice right before the podcast.
No, I told you your third choice.
Yeah. But I agreed. It's definitely got a solid soundtrack. But anyway, back to Mega Man and why you love it so much.
There's really nothing else to say. Mega Man 2 had such an awesome soundtrack. Mega Man 3, my favorite Mega Man game, had, in my mind, the best soundtrack. Snake Man, Proto Man song, it just all worked out so well. It's really good. And again, I'll say it: no game on the NES has better music than Mega Man.
Now, why do you love Mega Man? Oh, no, that's not the question I want to ask. The question I wanted to ask is, if Mega Man was a real person, or at least a real being, would you have sex with him?
No, because it's a dude.
He's a robot. He might not have those parts.
Now, okay, now hold on. Now, if Mega Man could kill a female, and just like how like he kills a boss and he absorbs their powers, if he could absorb their boobies and their vaginae, then I would totally tap him.
Vaginae? Are you implying that there are
Yep.
two?
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Would his gun thing just turn into a fleshlight?
That would be so awesome.
That'd be horrible.
No, it wouldn't, because then it wouldn't move. You can just kind of have him locked
Oh
up in
God,
one position and just pound away.
Oh, that's the worst mental image I've ever came up with.
That is the best thing you've ever come up with. Now, I'm gonna call Capcom and I'm gonna ask them to make me like a life-size Mega Man, statue, and I'm gonna put a flashlight in its arm.
Oh God. Oh, Mega Man with the fleshlight attachment weapon.
Alright, last week we did a video game music challenge, and Kyle, why don't you say what the game was?
McKids, the McDonald's sponsored video game for the NES, in which you played either a black boy or a white boy in search of the old McDonald's crew. And it was
And then some extras, because
yeah.
it wasn't the full McDonald's crew.
Well, it had the Grimace, it had the bird girl whose name I can't remember. It had the Hamburglar, had Ronald McDonald. I don't know if it had Mayor McCheese.
But it had extras too. Like I remember watching a video and it had a guy on a moon, some weird character.
I'm sure there might have been a Moon Man in one of those little commercials for McDonald's.
And kind of like how I suspected, nobody got it.
No? Ha! Well, folks, my other choice was Steel Battalion, and the only reason why we didn't put that up was because I couldn't find the soundtrack for it.
And I was putting forth no effort in finding the soundtrack.
Because you're a jerk.
Yeah, that's true. Sadly. And we're not going to do a video game music challenge this week. Why? Because Keith sucks.
Oh, why do you always have to blame Keith?
Most of the time I blame you.
Why do you always have to blame other people, Josh?
I'm not going to say that I suck.
Well, you should. I think it knock you down a peg or two. I think you
I
need
might
it.
have been knocked down a peg or two. I got my finger broken in my ass.
Well played. Alright, with Metal Gear Solid 4 coming in, and with the embargo on certain things, we're going to talk about why people feel the need to research every aspect of a game before it comes out. pretty much a discussion of video game hype and whether or not we go into it. Mr. Josh, what are your thoughts? Or are we starting with me?
I'll go. I mean, I actually tend to kind. I tend to look up a lot on games, especially if it's a game I want. The like Lost Odyssey, I was doing quite a bit of research on, and the one game I actually lately I'm not doing anything with, and I haven't, and I never will, is Metal Gear Solid 4.
Why is
I
that?
haven't because I don't want it to spoil anything for me. I haven't watched any videos. I even have the soundtrack for the game, and I haven't listened to it yet.
That's exactly the point of why I think researching a game is stupid, because it spoils it spoils things. I mean, why would you want to read about the Portal song at the very end? That's supposed to be like the surprise, like the little flower in your cap.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like that just kind of exploded, but you couldn't really avoid it. The problem is when a game gets hyped, it's everywhere. You can't get past it. Like right before Halo 3 came out, it was all you ever saw. I mean, hell, fucking Mountain Dew. We had some jackass on here drinking Mountain Dew.
Actually, that's not that bad. Wait, wasn't that you drinking it?
And like I said too, is that you get these people who really hype up a game. And if that game like suddenly gets a bad review, which we're going to go back to in a little bit with your zero punctuation comment, that if that game gets a bad review, it's all of a sudden shit. Like nobody wants anything to do with it because it got one bad review, and these people built it up to a level that it really couldn't do. Like Metal Gear Solid 4, I'm thinking people are making this to be the be all end all of the PlayStation 3, and it really isn't.
No, because the PlayStation 3 has like an expected shelf life of what, 10 years?
Well, that's what Sony says, but yeah, I mean they always have a decent life on their consoles.
Look, hell, they're still coming out with games for the PS2. I mean, they're shitty movie games, but my point still stands.
Has there ever been a game that you've gotten super super hyped for? Something didn't feel right about it, and you just didn't play it.
Actually, Tales of Symphonia. I didn't really read about it. Well, I read it about it in a friend's Nintendo Power, and I'm like, oh man, this game's gonna be so awesome. And we talked about it, and I rushed out to buy it on a release day, and I played it for, I don't know, 5 hours straight, and I went, wow, this game's really terrible.
And then Chia Hippo says it's your number one game ever.
Yeah. Chia Hippo could go DIAF.
Ooh.
Ooh. But anyway, yeah, I see the point. I don't want to research the games. I want to be genuinely surprised. I want to know. There are a few things that I want to know about the game. The game title, the game type, who's developing it, who's releasing it, and the hook. What's like the shiny thing that makes this game stand out from any other game? Other than that, I like to be surprised. Yeah, that's it. I like to be surprised. That's the point of doing something new, is that it's something new. Nothing has been revealed. It's a white sheet, a tabula rasa.
Yeah, I mean, I can completely agree with that. Except that when I'm looking into those few things on a game, I like to know who does the soundtrack. But yeah, I think part of that too is that the time that we live in now is like everybody has access to everything, especially with the internet. Is you can't help but come across something that's going to tell you about a game, it's going to spoil something about the game, and it's really hard to not notice these things nowadays.
Hell, when I read on my Google Reader, I subscribe to a bunch of different game news sites. I purposely skip over things that discuss not in depth, but more than a cursory view of the game. Once it starts going more than like my little list, I ignore it. I generally more interested in the game politicking and such.
You know what really ruins it for me too is like if I'm really interested in the game and a buddy of mine isn't so much, he'll like totally try to hype it up to kind of make me really, really want it, and that just ruins it even more because it's like the game isn't coming out for another 8 months, and now this jackass has me like wanting it now.
And now you have to sit and stew.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Oh god, what pissed me off the most was Grand Theft Auto 4 launching. All it was for 2 weeks was news articles on GTA 4. I didn't care. I don't want to know about the game.
Every podcast for that 2 or 3 weeks did nothing but talk about that game. There was TV talking about it. There was news talking about it. It got really old. And I'm actually, even though I'm trying to avoid everything with Metal Gear Solid 4, I'm starting to see the same thing. I mean, hell, we've talked about Metal Gear Solid 4 for the last 2 episodes.
Well, that's just because why aren't you getting a PS3, Kyle? Look at this awesome bundle.
Yeah. So, have you ever been kind of on the hype train of any game?
I am glad. No, Steel Battalion, but that's more of a niche game. But I'm glad to say that I have not been a car on the hype train. I'm more of a hobo, I guess, I get out once in a while, see what's going on, and get off when I need to.
I get off all the time.
And I know, unfortunately.
Now, real quick, before we wrap this up, is I want to go back to the zero punctuation thing that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, Yahtzee said, don't play Silent Hill Origins.
He essentially said that. He said not to play it because it wasn't a Silent Hill game. It felt like it was a kind of what the hell's that game? Dead Rising, but with needless, I guess, angst attached to the character.
So, are you a blind idiot who can't make his own decisions and you need reviewers to tell you what to do with games?
No. However, with his fervor for the Silent Hill series, I felt I could trust him.
Again, I asked, do you
Yes, I'm
live by
able to
reviewers?
formulate my own opinion. I just
So
don't
why
want
don't
to
you
be
try the game?
hurt. I've been hurt before, Josh, and I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt again.
You're gonna get hurt if you don't play that game.
But why take the risk? I could be perfectly happy playing Silent Hill 1 or Silent Hill 2. Especially Silent Hill 2. But so why
I think you should play it.
should I? Have
Yeah.
you played it?
No.
I'm less inclined to play it. However, I suppose it'll give me something to do. I'll pick up Silent Hill Oranges.
Silent Hill Oranges. Alright, that about does it.
Oh, speaking of hungry, Wii Fit, that's what I've been playing.
Oh yeah, I forgot to bring that up. Yeah,
Yeah. Metal Block because of the trauma it's inspired.
so how'd that work out?
Well, I did my little test and it weighed me and then it checked my balance. At first it said that I probably trip a lot, which I do, and then it called me obese. So it pretty much called me a clumsy fat guy. Which did wonders for me. And then I played some of the mini games, like the little balance games, and they're kind of fun. I did some yoga, and it helped undo some pain in my back, which I was very surprised with. Nancy's been on that thing nonstop.
So Wii Fit, not your cup of tea?
No, not at all. Especially since it called me fat. The game could go fuck itself.
Alright, Kyle. Do you have any shoutouts?
The usual. To Mr. Keith, I hope his move goes well. And a shout out to this heat wave. I hope it goes and kills itself very soon.
Yep. And I would like to give a shout out to Mr. Heatwave as well.
Mr. Heatwave,
Because
fuck you.
I hate you. Actually, I'm looking out my window right now and everything looks brown and kind of yellowish. So I think we're about to get a thunderstorm.
Yeah, my when I talked to my mom right before this, she said they had one. Thunderstorm.
All right. If you would like to suggest a top 5, then head over to our website, and you can email us, which I still fucking have to give Kyle and Keith
Yeah,
information
seriously. What the fuck?
for. Yeah, I've been, I've been kind of out of it the last few weeks. But if you if you would like to suggest a top 5, then head over there and we'll take a look at it. Please give us some iTunes reviews if we've got some new ones. Thank you.
Do we?
Yeah.
I haven't checked iTunes in a while.
And that's about it. Critical Strike 24 is done, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
All right, goodbye, people.
Goodbye.
I'm masturbating all over the internet. Let it accept my seed.
In the year 2000X, Dr. Light created a super robot named Mega Man. Mega Man defeated Dr. Wily once. Now, Dr. Wily has created 8 new robots of his own. It's time to stop, Dr. Wily.